So long ago, someone polled the American people and asked, how big is our international affairs budget? Most pegged it at 25% of our national budget. And they thought it ought to be pared way back to 10% of our national budget. Let me tell you, would that were true. I'd take 10% in a heartbeat, folks, because 10% is exactly 10 times greater than what we do invest in our efforts to protect America around the world. In fact, our whole foreign policy budget is just over 1% of our national budget. Think about it a little bit. Over 1%, a little bit more, funds all of our civilian and foreign affairs efforts. Every embassy, every program that saves a child from dirty drinking water or from AIDS or reaches out to build a village and bring America's values. Every person, we're not talking about pennies on the dollar. We're talking about 1 penny plus a bit on a single dollar. So where do you think this idea comes from, that we spend 25% of our budget? Well, I'll tell you, it's pretty simple. As a recovering politician, I can tell you that nothing gets a crowd clapping faster in a lot of places than saying, I'm going to Washington to get them to stop spending all that money over there. And sometimes they get a lot more specific. If you're looking for an applause line, it's about as guaranteed an applause line as you can get. But guess what? It does nothing to guarantee our security. It doesn't guarantee a stronger country. It doesn't guarantee a sounder economy or a more stable job market. It doesn't guarantee that the best interests of our nation are being served. It doesn't guarantee that another young American man or woman won't go and lose their life because we weren't willing to make the right investments here in the first place. We need to say no to the politics of the lowest common denominator and of simplistic slogans and start making real choices that protect the interests of our country. That's imperative. Unfortunately, the State Department doesn't have our own Grover Norquist pushing a pledge to protect it. We don't have millions of AARP seniors who send in their dues and rally to protect America's investments overseas. The kids whose lives we're helping save from AIDS. The women we're helping to free from the horrors of sex trafficking. The students who for the first time can choose to walk into a school instead of into a short life of terrorism. Their strongest lobbyists are the rare, committed Americans who stand up for them and for the resources that we need to help them. And I hope that includes all of you here and many listening. You understand why every time that a tough fiscal choice looms, the easiest place to point fingers, foreign aid. As Ronald Reagan said, foreign aid suffers from a lack of domestic constituency. And that's part of the reason that everyone thinks it costs a lot more than it really does. So we need to change that. I reject the excuse that Americans just aren't interested in what's happening outside of their immediate field of vision. I don't believe that about any one of you sitting here, and I don't believe that about Americans. In fact, the real domestic constituency for what we do, if people can see the dots connected and understand what we're doing in its full measure, is really large. It's the 314 million Americans whose lives are better every day because of what we do, and who deep down, when they have time to stop and think about it, know that our investment abroad actually makes them and our nation safer.